Okay, here we are. There we go. We are at Sheringham, the community centre, where tonight there is an extraordinary meeting to do with the Sheringham bus shelter. So, let's go and take a listen.
Okay.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Sorry? Oh yes.
Easier to hold back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called a gimbal.
A gimbal.
Yeah, so you can.
Yeah.
I always get asked about it, but when I go to council meetings, this is perfect. This is a nice setup. Hello.
It's going to be interesting.
Is this a normal layout for Sheringham Council?
Yeah, this is normal.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and a town clerk. Are you guys for or against the...
I just wanted to knock it down and start.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you lived in Sheringham all your life?
Yes.
Yeah?
I think the expense of having half a shelter is Norfolk County Council saying, well, we ain't going to build it if you don't get rid of the shelter.
Yeah, but they're kind of holding you hostage though, aren't they?
Sorry?
They're holding you hostage saying it like that though, aren't they?
I don't know. I'm just surmising in this respect that we need to move on from where we are.
Yeah, a lot of councils need to do that. But if they listened in the first place, that would have saved you a lot of money.
Exactly. It's already cost us 20 grand delay in it. I reckon that the North Norfolk Railway say, well, if you don't make a decision soon, they want their land back. Because part of it is donate the land from the railway, and the rest of it belongs to Norfolk County Council. So if they don't agree it by this Friday, they ain't going to do anything. It'll just remain as it is. Or it'll start maybe late 2024. We are. Never mind. Should have brought my electric fan and plugged it in.
Should have done.
I know there's a certain sentimentality about the actual shelter, but I think it's got to the stage now where its life is finished. And apparently, I don't know Colin's got some designs for Colin's got some designs for the one that we've got at home.
This is definitely a nice layout, that's for sure. Oh my god, and they've got glasses of water and jars.
Yep. This
is very upmarket, you know.
This is the most councillors I've seen here.
No, there was more last time.
No.
How many should be sitting?
Oh yeah. What I'm saying is there's not all the councillors there.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
So there's none missing,
Previously there weren't.
but there is tonight.
There is tonight. Yeah.
Do you know how many?
Offhand, I don't know which wards they're for, but this way every seat is filled. Because last time we came, there was 3 or 4 here that weren't here.
Okay.
Good evening. For those of you that have been to these meetings before, we've got a new microphone. I'm hoping it's working.
Wow.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Excellent.
Wow.
So, I'd like to welcome you all on this very warm evening to the extraordinary meeting of Sheringham Town Council. I'd also like to point you in the direction of the water at the back of the room if you need it, so please feel free to help yourself to that. And if it runs out, we've got staff dotted around who can help you with that too. I'm just going to pass you over to Michelle, our town clerk, who's going to go through some of the domestics with you.
Good evening. Nothing exciting from me, I'm afraid. Just the usual fire regulations, etc. So if the fire alarm goes, you need to either go out these doors behind me. You can go back in the way you came, and we also have a door on the side there that you can use. The muster point is on the green where the planting is between the car park and Holloway Road. So that's where we would gather, please. If any of you need to use the facilities, they're just down here on the left. There's ladies, gents, and also a fully accessible one as well. And as Sue said, please don't get hot and bothered. There is water at the back. If that runs out, give one of us a wave. We'll make sure we get some more water for you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Already.
Okay, so just before we come on to the agenda proper, I'm going to say what some of you will be used to hearing me say at this point in the meeting. Sheringham Town Council has signed up to the Civility and Respect Pledge, and that's a sort of guiding statement about how we intend to conduct our meetings in the spirit of civility and respect. So I would ask that we conduct this meeting in a kind and considerate way, with the belief that we're all coming from the same place in terms of wanting the best for the town. Let's remember that we all love this town, even if we have different visions for it. We welcome diverse opinions, provided they're shared with respect. So, thank you in advance for that. So, coming on to the agenda proper, we have apologies for absence.
Councillor Bailey.
Councillor Davies. So, can I have a proposer to accept Peter and a seconder? Edie, thank you. All those in favour of accepting those apologies? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 2 is declarations of interest and dispensations. So these are over and above the declarations of interest and dispensations that we have already advised the clerk of and which she holds on her records. Does anyone have anything to declare above those already existing? Yeah, we've got those. Anything else anyone wishes to declare? Okay, thank you. So we now come on to item 3, which is the open meeting. So this is the public participation part of the meeting. Those of you who have been here before will remember that it's governed by our standing orders. So normally we allow 15 minutes with 3 minutes per person, but that's under the direction of the chair, and because we have so many people here this evening, I'm going to extend that to 30 minutes. Okay, so it will still be 3 minutes per person, and the clerk is going to be timing that and giving you the nod when we need to draw that to a close. Okay, so I know there are a number of people who are keen to speak. Liz, you've indicated that you would like to speak.
God, they've got a microphone. I've never known a council meeting like it. Just
Hello?
Yeah.
Very nicely. It is deeply regrettable state of affairs that we find ourselves in this evening. I genuinely feel sympathy for this town council tonight, the position you have been placed in. Yet again, Sheringham Town Council is being put under intense pressure by local county council to make major decisions in haste without full transparency and a full budget plans. That has been one of the central failings of this project from the beginning. Earlier today, I spoke with Councillor Tom Dickerson, the NCC portfolio holder responsible for this project. He made one thing very clear: works will not restart on this project until January 27, regardless of what decision is made this evening. Let me repeat that: January 2027. And crucially, even if this shelter is demolished tomorrow, buses will not return to Station Approach, while Otter Draw still remains as a congested area until the wider works will be done. So we must ask the obvious question: what exactly is the urgency tonight? Why are councillors being asked to make an irreversible decision, one that could destroy a heritage asset, when it changes nothing in the immediate term? The safety review requested by Councillor Karen Ringo and myself, and I'm sorry he's at a wedding this evening, so let's give him apologies, concludes NCC does not consider the Cromer Road bus routes unsafe. I must be frank, I do not believe that review reflects reality. You only have to ask the people of Sheringham, the bus users, the pedestrians, the parents, elderly residents, has moving the bus stops to Cromer Road improved safety? And the overwhelming answer is no. We are repeatedly told the shelter must be demolished or halved because of a pinch point. Yet viable alternatives have been presented. Options that preserve the shelter, improve pedestrian flow and create additional standing space, all for around £1,600, and with no need for a road closure. Experienced highway planners believe these options are workable. But what has been the response? Little engagement, little discussion, little willingness to explore solutions. Just no. As in Little Britain, the computer says no. No to alternatives, no to collaboration. It is felt throughout this process that it has been the NCC way or the highway, so the wider transport feasibility study has still not yet been completed. We do not yet have the full picture, and yet permanent decisions are being demanded tonight. That is not good governance, that is not transparency. I'll just finish this sentence. We all agree this project is moving forward, but it needs to be done in the right way, for the right benefits of the town.
I'd just like to clarify a couple of points that Liz made there. In terms of the risk assessment that was conducted on Cromer Road, the finding was that there was less risk on Cromer Road than there was on Station Approach. That was the statement that was made on that one. And also, just to clarify in terms of that January 2027, that is the date that we've been given, but we've also been given till the end of June to tell the County Council whether we are going to go ahead or not, because they need to allocate the workforce. So if we don't indicate by the end of June that we're going to go ahead with the Ottendorf Green project, it will be allocated elsewhere, and it will be probably another year on top of the January 2027. And the other really important point is we've been told that as soon as the road widening has been achieved, the buses can come back to Station Approach. So that could be within a very few weeks. I think that's important to clarify those things. Okay.
Can I ask something?
Sorry. We need to. Sorry, we need to have a show of hands so that I can see who it is that would like to speak. So, Alison.
Hello, I'm Alison Paris. I have a business in town on Station Road, and I'm part of the wider business community. I feel very frustrated as a business that we can't get this matter resolved. I feel it's really important for the town, for tourism, for people that actually use the buses, for vulnerable people, that we get the bus stop back in the town centre as quickly as possible. And I think the other thing that we must not forget is that it's really important that our biggest draw to Sheringham is the steam train railway, and they are sitting next to the building site, and it just all needs to be resolved at this point in time. I think I can speak for many businesses that this really does need resolving. Thank you. Mike?
How's this work? Is that all right? Can you hear me? Yep. My name is Mike Clayton. I'm representing Sheringham and Bloom tonight and speaking for all of its members in the hope that we can make a decision tonight that will move forward and create the garden of the future that will enhance the entrance to Sheringham. Just to put some people's thoughts or worries to right, it's not going to be a gravel garden. It's not going to be devoid of planting. We've got a fantastic planting scheme which involves palm trees, tree ferns, other exotics that will be totally different because we live in a frost-free area. And hopefully it will be a wow to our residents and our visitors. Our planting around the town, hopefully, makes the atmosphere in the town welcoming, and I'm sure that's the reason a lot of people come back to our town. We've always believed that the scheme put forward by Norfolk County Council is worth pursuing because the existing bus shelter is no longer fit for purpose, and we can see the vast numbers that are using Cromer Road at the moment. It needs improving. We think the purpose-made Victorian bus shelter that is now residing in Holt near the railway station, to my mind, looks architecturally good and would fit in with our Victorian railway station. The present bus shelter does not do that. The report produced by Sheringham Town Council makes it plain that various statutory requirements are needed for Norfolk County Council to proceed with this government project, not Norfolk County Council money, it's a government money that we'll lose. Failure to conform to these requirements in County Council will just walk away. That will place a fantastic burden on Sheringham Town Council and our ratepayers. Not everything with the proposed scheme with Sheringham Bloom's desires, but like everything in life, we had to make compromises. And I think that goes for everybody who's involved in any scheme like this. Could I urge the councillors tonight to put their minor concerns of the existing county council scheme to one side and join the silent majority of residents in Sheringham that want that bus shelter removed?
Yes.
Hi, the lady over there with the
No,
hat.
it was I just wanted to make a process better. I was going to ask maybe if we can be given a background of what is happening and where we are going, but now the meeting is on. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the person at the back with the blue shirt.
Good evening. I don't need the microphone, thank you. Just to point out that in our Sheringham town, we have no empty shop that has been set about. We've had 7 new businesses opened up in the last 4 months, and they're all doing very well. Even the pizza new shops, they're spending over 100,000 in that, so they will see the future is in Sheringham. We also have quite a few other shops. Specsavers are open down the road. They haven't moved out, so they've got 2 shops. Sicilian sausages, they've opened up. Now, if you go to Cromer, they've got a lovely bus hub and all the rest of it, They've got 4 empty shops already on the high street. So, where does it all go from here? What I'm hoping is that if we do demolish our shelter that we like, it's going to be a bomb site, we're going to put fences up, so how the buses are going to come back, I don't know. So all you'll have is rubble, unless you've already planned things we don't know about, concreting it over, please. Be sensible.
Any of them with the coloured white background top?
Hi, I'm Sean New, resident in Sheringham since 2000. I just
can't hear you.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is that better?
Yeah.
That's better.
Could I please ask the council if they would confirm that they have written assurance from Norfolk County Council that if you demolish the shelter imminently, that buses will return to station approach immediately?
We won't return immediately.
Hello. Yes, we do have the assurance that if the shelter is modified or demolished, the buses can come back. We do not have to wait for the scheme in full to be completed.
In writing?
Yes.
Like it, telephone.
Thank you. Councillors, firstly, thank you for the introduction of the Harris fencing banners on Oppendorf Green. They've been well received by our members and help present a more positive image while we work towards a permanent solution. I'm speaking today as Chair of the Chamber of Trade and Experience Sheringham, representing 124 members, many of whom are on the High Street in Sheringham, and many more businesses whose livelihoods depend on footfall generated by a thriving town centre and good transport links. Our position throughout this has been clear and consistent. We want to see the bus service return to the town centre as quickly as possible. Our members are the backbone of Sheringham's economy. The shops, the cafes, the restaurants, the attractions, the healthcare providers, the community businesses that make this town a special place and generate that footfall. That we all depend on people being able to get to those businesses. We ask our members to consider the same 4 questions you're being asked to consider tonight. We made no recommendation to them because we wanted their views. But we asked 124 members, we got 84 votes. More than 90, in fact it was 91% support option 1. That's what the economy of the town and that's what the businesses want to happen. And you know what? Reverting to the original plan, fewer than 6% voted for option 2, with only a small number supported option 3 and 4, 1%. For our members, option 1 is clearly the most practical solution. It restores the bus service in the shortest possible time frame at the lowest possible cost to Sheringham ratepayers. Most importantly, as we've said, a decision is needed tonight. Norfolk County Council need that tonight if they are going to complete the remainder of the works on Oppendorf Green by January 2027. The issue goes far beyond our members. The current arrangement affects some of our most vulnerable people in our town. Members of the community, older residents, those with limited mobility, and people who rely on public transport as a vital service for their well-being, for social activities and everyday life. I'd like you to think about that. It's about people. It's not about a bus shelter, it's about people. People who use this bus service in their daily lives, the workers, the carers, the commuters, and those for whom this bus service is their social well-being. Option 1 means the bus shelter can be moved quickly back to the town centre. And we are looking forward to that, and hopefully before the summer holidays. Because the other people who are being impacted are all the people who want to drive their cars on Cromer Road. And we haven't hit the worst yet. So we have a chance, if you make that decision tonight, to avoid even worse traffic congestion in Sheringham. Please prioritise people, their livelihoods, accessibility, and the well-being of people above a bus shelter design. Well done, Paul.
Pauline, please.
Hello everybody. Hello everybody. I'm going to ask one question first. Who came here by bus? I want to see all the hands. Isn't it amazing how we've got such an opinion about buses that hardly anyone uses them? The people who do use them, as someone said, is the people like the disabled who haven't got a car and you have to use a bus. Well, there are no one doing it, right? So no one does bus. You come here by a bus today? I didn't. The thing is that I've been in this right from the beginning. I worked with Robert Pratt and the architect, and we designed this bus with one thing in mind: the people who need buses, more than those people who use buses as a part-time thing who've already got cars. We're talking about, I don't know if we've got pools. So we ticked all the boxes. We made it safe for women and safe for men as well, because we're right in the middle of the green. It's going to be lit up. It's going to have information about the bus service, which is later on, and it's going to be good for all those people who want to sit by the green in the summertime and come on the bus. It's going to be a hub within a hub. So I would say, we go for option one, not the bus stop down, but we go to two, got to do it tonight. It's important. Now when it comes to artwork, we spent a lot of artwork on this bus stop. I think we worked hard on it, and when I say we, it's Sheringham Art. Have you got a picture of what we've done for the artwork? By the way, if no one's seen it, this is the bus shelter that we lost. This is the one. It's absolutely beautiful. Brilliant, the architect, working on it. And we've got another picture here of all the artwork we've done. So we've done a sign for the building. And our group's painting it is absolutely good. It's 8 foot long and that's going to be hard. We also made photos. We're really working hard for something that's going to be a positive for the town. We've got to stop this nonsense now. Tonight we've got to decide not the thing down or have the alternative. But we've got to decide today. Thank you very much.
Paul with the texture, please.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me speak. My name is Paul Goldsmith. I'm a member of the Sheringham Town Safety Partnership. I have one question specific to 3 councillors. Councillors Ashcroft, Langdon, and Radcliffe. Please can you confirm why you have requested a decision regarding the bus shelter be returned to rescinded and take a plan of order?
Sorry, did you hear that?
Because we can't debate this without Michelle, just because we can't debate without sorry, okay. So I'm just confirming. I like the answers in
I'm sorry, that's up to the councillors to decide, okay?
Oh, sorry, we should be able to hear your discussion. That's what we're all here for. It's a public
There is
meeting.
no discussion. When we come to the item, we will be making
We all
clear-
should be able to hear what you are all saying at the table. It's great you've got a microphone, but we should still be able to hear you all.
But we're not saying anything.
I'm just looking to clarify a point of order. I do know that no councillor is obliged to answer the question on the spot. That's part of standing orders. So I just want to clarify with the clerk I have an understanding as to why I put the motion forward with our two fellow councillors, but in essence, it is because.
Sorry, I wasn't in that particular.
Okay, well, yeah, I will say from my point of view.
Sorry, I asked.
Excuse me, we're just going to close that question down. If you're going to continue to try and direct councillors, that is not your role. You've asked the question, and one of our councillors is answering that for you, and you are interrupting him while he's doing that.
So I will say again, as a point of order, no councillor is obliged to answer a question directly from the floor. That's my understanding. So I am taking upon myself, so to speak, to give a courteous response to your question, and that is because of the timing of when we took the last vote. In order to be able to debate the points tonight, there has to be a resolution to resolve is it dissolve, Michelle, or rescind? To rescind the previous motion in order that we can debate it now. So that's why that was put forward.
Councillor Anderson, got anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we have a 6-month rule about motions, and so if we're going to discuss something within that 6 months, then we have to do a special motion under Standing Order 7A. And I looked at it and thought that we had information from the clerk about the costs of the modification of the bus shelter, so I thought, well, at least we ought to be able to open it up tonight. It's not about having it's about having options to. So that's why I put it forward.
Imagine, do you have anything to add? Charles, please.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Charles Sanders from Sanders Coaches. A couple of things. Obviously, we've got an issue on Station Approach, and the issue is number of people. Sheringham is such an attractive town for people to visit. The volume of people on Station Approach is what's brought about this problem. Nothing else. You know, I've repeated many times, over 450,000 people got on and off buses last year. And the movement along that pavement is just impossible. Second thing I'll say is, I will get the buses back on Station Approach within 3 or 4 weeks if the council makes a decision. We may well have to remove them again in January when they come to finish the project for a short period of time, but there's absolutely no reason, once that bus stop is either modified or removed, that we cannot return. And we will come to heaven and earth to get it done before July 19th when the kids break up. So it's clear for the summer. Because we are aware, and I apologise for the amount of disruption that it causes to traffic flow in Sheringham. Obviously it's not our fault, we'll have to try and do the best we can. But it is a very difficult situation. And it's just like if you buy a flat when you're young, you meet a partner, get married, have children, however much you love that flat, it is no longer fit for purpose for your family. And unfortunately, the Station Approach has got to that point. Thank you.
Dick Shepherd.
Sorry, don't keep it long. I live in Walkbank Road, the top of Walkbank Road is the old show. And I started to hear what was going on. I thought it was a joke. And I still do. We've got a London red brick edifice with concrete lump on the top. It's with absolutely nothing. It looks ugly. I couldn't understand what was going on. Then I saw some people turn up, some protesters, so I asked them, who's from Sheringham? There was no. And who's from Norfolk? One person.
And then, given a couple of days, the newspapers got hold of it. I don't know. But suddenly, loads of people turned who are termed red mob. I didn't see hardly any of them in town. There were a couple from Lincolnshire. I thought, what the devil's going on? So, it's not worth, the shelter is not worth in anybody's language. And there's talk about doing traffic surveys and things. They've all been done in the past, and that's upset everybody. County has done their work on the approach. It's all in place, and it should go ahead as soon as we can possibly do it and get rid of the old monstrosity. Thank you, Chair.
I'm going to allow 2 more speakers, okay? So, Paula, I don't think. Can I just say, sorry, that was rubbish because these started it. Anyway, the figure given for the demolition cost does not include the cost of road traffic order, which were in the region of £5,000 last time.
Can you use the microphone, please? Can't hear.
Can you hear me?
No.
The figure given for the demolition cost does not include the cost of the road traffic order, which were in the region of £5,000 last time. Do the council accept that the true cost of the demolition are in the region and upwards of £10,000? Is this a good use of council money when cheaper options that transport planners experienced in highways projects state meet the national guide are available? Is it not further indication that STC are prepared to waste even more taxpayers' money?
I'll just touch on that by saying it does quite clearly state in my report that there would need to be a road closure as well. I did receive a quote for the road closure. It's got an inconsistency in it. It looks like one item has been done and charged, so I haven't gone back, but it does specify that we would need a road closure. In terms of cheaper options being available, we have not got any cheaper options. We have 2 options that we have been told will be acceptable. One is the modification to allow the pavement widening, and one is removing the shelter. They're the only options that we have in front of us today.
I'll keep this short and sweet. I believe the decision of the council tonight regarding the matter of the bus shelter at Ottenwood Green is a simple one. Spend the least amount of money possible and get the job done as quick as possible. Please do not waste our council tax on something that is going to be paid for by central government and should have been completed by now. Vote to demolish the bus shelter and get the job done. We must think about what's best for the development and growth of our town for all people. Thank you.
We are out of time now, so thank you for your contributions. We now do need to move on. There was an extra 15 minutes there. Okay. So, we are now moving on to item 4A, which is, and I'll read this out for everybody to be aware, in accordance with Standing Order 7A, a special motion has been submitted by Councillors Ratcliffe, Lansdowne and Ashcroft that the STC resolution for the clerk and mayor to take forward the design to modify the shelter with a cedar roof to enable work to resume to complete the Ottendorf Green Travel Hub, liaising with relevant professionals as required. Minute reference 20526 FC 135 from the full council meeting on 17th February 2026 be reversed in order that all options for future of Ottendorf Green can be considered. So what I'd like to make clear to councillors when they're deciding about how they're going to vote for this option is that this is an option just to allow us to discuss the options in Michelle's paper. It's not taking the modification off the table. That's currently what stands. It's just giving us the opportunity to be able to discuss the other option in the light of the fact that the cost is much greater than we had anticipated. So it's not taking the modification off the table, it's just allowing us to debate. What I also need to tell you is that if item 4A falls, that is, if it doesn't pass, then 4B will then simply become about agreeing the quote. Which one of the three quotes are we going to opt for to take forward the modification? Because the modification is the current action that council is following. If we don't rescind that, then we're committed to that and we need to make a decision about the quote. Is that clear for all councillors? I think it's really important that you know that when we make a decision about how you're going to vote. Okay. So let's open up the discussion on that, please. And let me just remind those of you in the audience that the public participation time is over. So this is now the opportunity for councillors to debate and come to a decision. Thank you.
Shall I try and speak louder? Hello. I'm one of the people that put forward this motion, and as I explained earlier, what I wrote to Michelle was, in light of the issues identified in her report to councillors on the 7th of April, where we first heard about the costs associated with the modification of we didn't have the full, it's kind of developed a bit, but the costs associated with the shelter. And there was a recent update on the 5th of June, alongside, to be frank, the continuing uncertainty surrounding the future of Ottendorf Green. I just think it's important that councillors have the opportunity to discuss all available options. So that was what prompted it. Michelle had sent a report to us back in April, and there's been delays since then, but it was about the idea that we just need to be able to talk about it rather than actually coming to a conclusion.
Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak to this motion? Just a reminder, this isn't about a debate about options. This is the debate about whether we rescind that option, that decision that we made, so that we can actually have a debate. Katie.
I just want to say I'm not in agreement with Tony's decision. We went through a fair democratic process in February where we discussed the options. I believe we need to be very careful about reopening decisions simply just because we don't like the outcome. If there's a cost, can we look at cheapening the quote, taking some things away like ceiling roofs that might cost a lot of money and getting that quote down and getting different quotes back so it's not costing so much money. If we simply take away that decision that we've already made, just because we don't like the outcome or prove that it's difficult to come across, it risks undermining confidence in the way that we make decisions. People expect us to make decisions, stand by them and move forward. So for that reason, I don't think it's in the community's best interest to overturn what was agreed, and I can't support doing so.
Colin.
I basically agree with Katie. I basically agree with Katie. I'm not quite an Anglican at the call there. I'm not quite sure why we are reopening this discussion. I respect what Martin says about the money, but I think this has all been quite divisive, and I wasn't a massive fan of the compromise option and indeed voted against it. I am still a little bit unsure why we are reopening this decision. I think, and Liz has spoken about how she's spoken to NCC today about how we don't need to do these decisions in haste, and other options might be possible. And I share Katie's concerns about democracy completely, so I don't think I will be voting to rescind the earlier motion.
Would anyone else like to speak? Tony.
I'll hear you, Councillor.
Sorry, Tony.
Well, the experience here tonight, you see the actual non-demolition of the house of the bus shelter, the sort of the solid line, and we're talking about the shelter house. With this council, I wouldn't worry too much about the cost of it. We have about £200,000 money is a very big object around here. I want folk to see it, and my idea was that if they knocked it down, if it was knocked down, a similar structure, duplicated could be built a bit further back. Just leave it as it is. I'm not in favour of being been narrowed down, so we have to make a decision whether we send them that first. Somebody did put a plan in, which they would do absolutely free. To get round this, but I'm afraid that is regarded as vexatious in the non-democratic manner, I would say. And so this is what we have to overput. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll just say that for the reasons I gave earlier, I believe it is appropriate to debate this. Given the 6-month rule, we have to put this in first. But again, because of the changing circumstances, because of the increased costs that we've been now made aware of, I agree with Martin and Madeline. It should be brought back to council to reconsider. Thank you.
I'd like to make the point that in all the years that I've been a town councillor, and it is a fair few now, I don't ever recall us rescinding a motion. So those of you who have raised concerns about democracy, please be assured this is not something that happens readily. This is the first time that this has happened in many, many years. And the reason it's happening, from my perspective, is because the cost came back almost double what we were expecting. And even with some of those attractive features removed, we're still talking about the high £30,000. For me, there's a discussion to be had about how we could use that money for the better of the town. Because actually, the Sheringham Travel Hub have said they don't want the modification. It's not a compromise that they want. So who does want the modification is the question I would ask. Because when I speak to people, they're not saying they want the modified shelter. So that's the reason why I think we need to debate this so that we can have a full discussion. Thank you. Okay, so we have.
Yes, I agree with what. It's on. Just put it by your mouth. Can you hear me now? Yes. Good. Yes, I agree with Peter and Madeline and Sue. Yes, when circumstances change, we have to change with them, and it's definitely worth considering the different situation that we're in. Thank you.
Okay, I think we will go to the vote now. So we have a motion on the table. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Winston. And I've asked for recorded votes for all the votes taken tonight. Councillor Ratcliffe. All those in favour of item A to enable that motion to be rescinded so that we can have the discussion. Okay, thank you. That vote is carried. So that means that we can now move on to item B, which is absolutely right, John. Thank you for keeping me right. Apologies. Yes, so can I have those voting against? And those abstentions. 2 abstentions. Right.
742.
Move on to consider the contents of the clerk's report and make a decision on the future of Ottendorf Green. Who would like to speak?
I wish to consider the options before us today. This is, I think, primarily a process of elimination. Leaving the shelter in place and looking for a solution that brings back the buses is not an option. If we modify the shelter or remove the shelter, Norfolk County Council will bring the buses back and they will complete the travel home. If we don't modify the shelter or remove it, Norfolk County Council will not bring the buses back, and we're clear that a bus stop on Cromer Road is a safer option than station approach without a widened pavement. If we don't modify or remove, we will have the responsibility to complete Ottendorf Green ourselves, which is a very costly exercise, and we will be in breach of contract with the County Council and the Northern Railway, and I think that option is not acceptable. I'm grateful to Michelle for her options report and the other documents provided. From this, it is clear that any proposal that does not widen the pavement is not acceptable to Norfolk County Council, and that there is no prospect of any other change, such as turning the station approach into a one-way street. When we discussed this in December, I wanted a solution that allowed retention of the bus shelter, but I did not think it was possible. We voted to stop the travel hub project and not evict the protesters. In January, we voted unanimously to ask the clerk and mayor to work with stakeholders to come up with a solution that will be brought back to council for a final decision. That is how local government works. In February, we voted to take forward the design to modify the shelter. This was based on some figures that have been produced, and I would say the inherent attractiveness of the proposed solution. Unfortunately, the final figures are significantly higher, and other aspects of the situation have changed. It is now increasingly clear that demolition of the shelter is the only viable way forward. There is no longer wide support for a modified shelter, and there is increasing support for demolition of the shelter, I would argue. Also, there are serious concerns, I would say, about the use of further taxpayers' money on this part of the Travel Hub project. As councillors, we are aware of a number of projects that require funding, and it now seems appropriate to seriously consider whether taxpayers' money should be reallocated to other projects.
and to move forward swiftly with demolition. John.
Thank you. Yeah, from day one, I've been supportive of the scheme, but not the design. What I will say now is, and I've said it before in this room, I do feel we've been bullied by Norfolk County Council into this situation. I also feel we're being bullied in part by Norfolk Railway, by their threat to fence off part of the site. It does make it, or to my mind, it makes us feel a little bit insignificant as a town council, to be fair. I mean, all these people that we're battling against, they're all getting paid. Us 16 sit here, or 14 as it is tonight, we're not. We're giving up our time freely to do what we think is best for this town. Now, I think we've got the stage where Norfolk County Council have got us checkmate, basically. And we haven't got to move. And unfortunately, that looks as though the thing's got to be flattened. With this half of it, I feel, from my experience in the building trade, you start to half that, you'd end up with the end result of what Norfolk County Council want. Another thing for me is, as I said before, I know I'm going over old ground, but there weren't a danger there until all this money came about. There weren't a danger there. And also, looking at the report regarding the safety aspects along Croom Road, the reason why that's more congested now, Charles will correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't really care, but the thing is, there weren't the volume of people using those stops then. So the Norfolk County Council people who came and done the study and said, "Oh, that's lovely and safe, there's no problem." There weren't a problem before. There's a problem that they've created without with a lack of common sense, basically, from what I can see. And then going forward with this making station approach one way, well, the only thing that's going to do is gridlock the town, because they put the roundabout in at the bottom of Holway Road to ease congestion many years ago. A lot of people in this room didn't even live here then, so they wouldn't even know that. But sorry to be a bit controversial on that one, Cal, but that is the way it is. And they put that in to also help congestion going over the bridge. You stop people going up Walkbank Road and using station approach, you will gridlock the town, especially in summer. We all know what it's like to try and get over the top of the bridge, at the top of Church Street in the summertime.
Yep.
So, there's several points here that have got to be addressed, but the biggest thing for me is we've been bullied into this. We're backed us into the corner. It's checkmate as far as I can see. And I do feel pretty aggrieved by it, to be fair. Like I said, we will give up our time. We try and do the best that we can for the town, and we are the first tier of local government. And sometimes it does feel, I'm a parish councillor up in Sheringham as well, and sometimes it does feel that you're not listened to. And I do feel strongly about that. Thank you.
Personally, I agree with most points with the bullying and things like that. I don't think it's fair, and I think the town council has been put in a very, very difficult position that they're not able to get out of, basically. But again, it saddens me to be here talking about this issue once again. When I think about everything that's gone into this campaign, the time, the effort, the conversations with residents, the passion people have shown, I never imagined I would still be here debating it today, the future of the shelter. When Mandy and I started this campaign, we made a simple promise that we would listen to the local people and do our best to give the community a voice. That has guided everything we've done. I've never hidden my own feelings. I wanted to save the shelter then, and I still do now. In an ideal world, I would have liked to have it preserved exactly as it is. When that became unrealistic, I supported the compromise. At the time, it felt like the only option that tried to respect the shelter's history, whilst also allowing the town to move forward. It was an attempt to find balance, and for many, it felt like a way through the disagreement. Sadly, things didn't work out that way. A splinter group, STSP, raised objections about the process which led to complaints and freedom of information requests. This required considerable amount of council time and resources to deal with. While these were fully processed and responded to, they contributed to delays and progress in the agreed work. I believe that without these delays, the shelter would likely be now complete and the buses would have returned to station approach. The last few months have brought delay, frustration and division, and in that time I've heard residents simply exhausted by this issue. Whatever side they are on, they all say the same thing. They want a decision and they want the town to move forward. I've heard residents, particularly elderly, disabled and visually impaired, who have told me that current arrangements make accessing the bus services more difficult and at times impossible. I've heard the same concerns from local businesses about reduced footfall and the impact it's having on trade. To help us understand where we are now, I carried out an online poll, and I fully accept its limitations, but it does give us a snapshot of opinion at this moment in time. And it is also worth remembering that a similar poll in December which showed stronger support for retention, we used a similar poll in December which showed stronger support for retention, which now just shows you how divided this issue has become. So the results from my online poll was to demolish the shelter and allow buses to return, 392 votes, and that's 59% of the votes. Continue with the compromise, we had 136 votes, which is 20% of the votes. Relocate the shelter brick by brick, 47 votes at 8%, and then leave the shelter as it is, 82 votes at 13%. Now what stands out to me is this: while 59% supported the demolition, 41% still support retaining the shelter in some form. That is not insignificant. It shows that a large number of people still value what this shelter represents. Of the options that retain it, the compromise received the most support. It was always intended as a middle ground, an attempt to respect the shelter's heritage while also restoring bus services. Not perfect, but designed to try and bring people together. But this issue is not just about numbers, it's about people and how they feel about the place they live in. I know that there are residents who want to see the shelter preserved exactly as it is. I also know there are residents who feel it's time to move on. Both views come from genuine care for Sheringham's future. Mandy and I put a huge amount into this campaign. We spent countless hours speaking to residents, listening to concerns and trying to find a way forward. We stood in that shelter on cold days and slept in it on even colder nights because we genuinely cared and genuinely believed it was worth saving. Before I co-opted onto this council, we met the Sheringham Town Council and brought forward ideas shaped by the community. These discussions helped shape the compromise many people hope will resolve this issue. Whatever happens now, I do not think we should simply erase the shelter's place in our town's history. For generations, it has been part of Sheringham. It sheltered residents, welcomed visitors, and become a part of the character of the town, whether people love it or not. If the decision is to demolish it, I would ask that we would consider creating a replica shelter elsewhere in town. I would also like to see a single brick from that original structure carefully preserved and incorporated into that new structure to symbolise the spirit of the shelter, a meaningful link between what has been and what comes next. Alongside that, I would like to see a commemorative plaque telling the story of the shelter and the community campaign that surrounded it, because whatever people's views, or whatever views people have held throughout this debate, there is no denying the passion, commitment and community spirit it has shown. The shelter may have divided opinion, but it has also brought people together, and that is something worth remembering.
Any other councillors who would like to speak?
Sherry.
Sorry, I asked for them to speak.
Good evening. Before I start explaining my thoughts on the current situation. I'm conscious that to my fellow councillors and to you all that I am a relatively new councillor. This is my first meeting. Lucky me. However, I do not think that now is the right time for me to give a lengthy introduction of myself. Instead, for now, I simply want to say this. I live in Sheringham. I care very much about Sheringham. And you should all be in no doubt that I take my role associated with responsibilities extremely seriously. There are several items that I want to speak about. The report by the Town Clerk explains the background and context of the current situation. Therefore, my focus is on where we are now and what options there are available to us moving forwards. The first thing I would like to mention is the report from Norfolk County Council. I am very pleased that they have made new funding available for the travel fund. I'm also conscious that the new funding comes with very strict conditions. To complete the scheme as soon as possible, we must decide how we want to proceed by the end of June. Norfolk County Council also said that other than the current options available to us, there is no more time to consider any further changes other than the options that we have. I would also like to mention the North Norfolk Railway. I am very concerned and sorry to hear that the current situation has had a negative impact on their business. I am not surprised that they are considering their position with respect to the covenants agreed with Sheringham Town Council. Both Norfolk County Council and the Norfolk Railway have said that they will not accept a scheme which retains the original shelter. Therefore, from a financial and legal perspective, the consequences for Sheringham Town Council will be overwhelming. Furthermore, the wider travel hub project could be indefinitely compromised, and the resulting consequences for Sheringham would be devastating. In my view, this means that there are only two options available to us. Either we proceed with the originally agreed scheme, or we proceed with a modification of the existing shelter. I'm aware that proceeding with a modification will be a substantial cost to Sheringham Town Council. This is, of course, in addition to the money that we have already spent. I'm also aware that any money we spend now cannot be spent later. There are many other projects and initiatives that we are currently working on and looking at. Some of those will inevitably suffer if we proceed with a modification. I also want to acknowledge the views of Sanders coaches and experienced sharing. I've attended all of the full council extraordinary meetings since the start of this year. This is before I became council. I heard both Charles Sanders and Paul Richmond speak multiple times at some of these meetings. Their views and positions are well known, and indeed they've mentioned tonight again, so I won't repeat them. I will simply say that I am also very concerned and sorry to hear the negative impact that the current situation has had on them and the businesses of Sheringham. I've also written a note here that I didn't include. I've seen Colin at multiple meetings previously as well, so I just want to acknowledge that. There is one more thing I would like to talk about, and that is the residents and businesses of Sheringham. Like many other councillors, I have spoken at length to others about the current situation. The common theme amongst those conversations is that the current situation is untenable and needs to be resolved immediately. I'm also aware of various polls, petitions, and the original consultation. Paul Richmond mentioned the poll that we conducted today with Experience Sheringham. With all things considered and the current position we find ourselves in, my view is that I'll go back, sorry. I'm also conscious that no formal referendum on the scheme. However, with all things considered and the current position we find ourselves in, my view is that the results of the various polls, etc., can only be reasonably applied to the two options currently available to us. In my opinion, there would have to be overwhelming public and local business support for the modification of this shelter for that option to be chosen. By all accounts, there isn't. This means that with any reasonable judgment, and based on all of the points that I've previously mentioned, I can only support a potential motion that proceeds for the reinstatement of the original scheme. I have written one more thing down. I sympathise with Katie and Amanda. I hear what you're saying about, if we proceed with the original scheme and building a new bus shelter, etc., somewhere else. I said at my co-option meeting, I'm a local structural engineer. I run a local business. I work with many local clients, architects and builders. If it doesn't interfere with any interests that I might have with the council, I would be happy to offer my services for free to do that. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? I know you're up there, John, but I'd just like to get any first-time speakers on this. Colin.
I basically agree with John when he says that NTC are bullying STC. Neither the County Council nor Norfolk Railway need to present photocopies of this council. I also agree with John when he talks about how this issue has only come about because the County Council has a grant from the government and how the concerns about safety have only come about for that reason as well. I think we have to reach a deadline that the County Council have given us. I think we should give them the decision that we've made so far, and then I think we should work with our county councillor to improve things going forward. Thank you.
Sorry, Cherry, I stepped across. Cherry next to you.
Good evening, everyone. As a councillor, it's important I listen to all views and base my decision on the following points. Listening to the community, which includes residents, visitors, bus passengers, and importantly, businesses in the town. Secondly, safety. Thirdly, how Sheringham Town Council funds are spent. And lastly, long-term implications of decisions. The Town Council listened to views in December and we're listening again now. A recent online poll on Facebook shows the overwhelming majority backed decisions for the shelter, the demolition of the shelter, as was experienced Sheringham with 91% in favour. Safety. Many people have raised concerns regarding the safety of the bus stopping on Cromer Road opposite Tesco and would like to see the return of buses to station approach as soon as possible. The only way this will happen is if the bus shelter is either removed or modified to allow widening of the path. Charles Sanders has stated bus passengers have more than doubled in the past 3 years. Station approach is no longer fit for purpose in the increasing number of passengers and pedestrians using the area. Changes do need to be made. As soon as the pavement width in front of the shelter has been resolved, NCC will reopen the stop. Sheringham Town Council will install 2 new benches for awaiting passengers, and the majority of the cost of this will be funded by a grant. Thirdly, how Sheringham Town Council funds are spent. We need to be mindful how we spend taxpayers' hard-earned money. The final tenders were far higher than expected, hence this meeting. Do you consider spending a vast amount of money worthwhile? Could the money be spent on a more deserving cause, for example, improving the sports pavilion, benefiting locals and visitors alike? Long-term implications of decisions. Large sums of money spent on retaining the shelter will have a negative impact on projects for the town, including grants from Sheringham Town Council to organisations and charities in Sheringham, many of which are self-funded and run by volunteers. And that's something I hadn't realised until I joined the Town Council, just how many organisations are benefiting from the grants. Yes, in some ways I would like to have seen the shelter retained. It's got character, and I've lived in the town a long time. My family's been here for generations. I can go back to Sheringham fishermen from the 1500s. So I value things that are here. However, our decisions should be based on facts, not emotional ties to a bus shelter which has served its purpose well in the past, but is no longer suitable. I therefore support the demolition and looking to a bright future for Sheringham. Thank you.
Any other? Yeah, I'll come to you, John, after everybody's had their first chance to speak.
I would like to take us back to the original figures that were put about. 75% has been bandied about the people who are wanting to keep the bus shelter as it is. 75% of the population? No, I don't think so. 75% of 500 people who wrote in at the original consultation, which means that we're talking about 375 people at that point who put in a complaint about losing their bus shelter. That means that our residents, who number at least 7,500, I haven't got the up-to-date census figures, but it's well on that sort of figure. That would mean that 95% of the residents of Sheringham were quite happy with the travel hub as it was put together in the original status, and they have not come forward and said anything other than that now. And I cannot see how we can go anything other than demolish and build the travel hub as we would want it for the future of this town. It will be an absolute beauty for us all to live with in the future.
Anyone else? May I just correct something? Yes. Sorry, I don't like to step in, but just to correct that, with the 74% of people, which was about 5%, but the 74% of people, they didn't say they wanted to keep the shelter. 74% of those people had some issue with the travel hub, and that could have been, we'd rather you spend the money on a roundabout, or we think it's a waste of money. They weren't all comments about the shelter. That percentage was much smaller.
More green space.
More green space was another one. That was lots of different factors. Sorry, Madeline.
That's fine. I'm quite happy with that because, in fact, it still shows that there were not that many people involved in saying that they wanted to save the bus shelter.
Katie. Sorry, not Katie. Amanda and Annie.
We've heard from our fellow councillors and obviously voting myself, as you're probably aware.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
To speak a bit louder.
Yeah, so thank you to my councillors and everyone coming. As some of you are probably aware by now, that was me and Katie that did start this, and we do want to finish this. Katie has did a speech that we both agree on, But I'm also very aware of the businesses, Simons Coaches, residents of Sheringham that we serve, and that's what we're here to do. I'm also well aware of the cost implications and where that money could be spent. And then Sports Pavilion has been spoken about. We've got a young community of youth people that are very neglected. And I do feel that there's projects on the line that could benefit our young people, our families, bringing people into the town, which is what we want. So they can spend money, so they can use our buses, so they can grow our town, and we can serve them. So it is really hard. Not going to give you my decision as yet, but I just want to feel that I need to say that it's coming from my heart. I do feel quite emotional. But yeah, I just wanted you to all know that we are taking this very, very seriously.
Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken who would like to speak? Peter?
Yeah, I haven't spoken.
I will come to people who want to speak again, but I want to make sure that all councillors are planning to I'd like to get the first time councillors first, so we'll come back to you first, John.
Okay. On the basis of what's being discussed tonight, I've written down a few points. The first is about the question of urgency, and I believe that's been answered. We need to make a decision tonight that's for the benefit of residents, those who work in the town and visitors, and primarily to get the buses back to station approach. Second, the old shelter was not fit for purpose. We know that. It failed to serve the needs of those who needed help with access, and was also a source of antisocial behaviour. No, it's true. I'm sorry, the fact we have staff who have been responsible for maintaining that shelter, and they come back with some pretty sad stories, to be frank, about what's been going on. Third is getting the bus stop off Cromer Road is extremely urgent. I think it's the one point that everybody agrees with. And the assurance from Norfolk County Council and Charles Sanders about a quick return of the buses is compelling. Demolition of the shelter achieves that, and seems to me to be the option most residents I speak to prefer above the option to modify the shelter. The scheme does serve bus users. It increases footfall, it boosts the economy, and is better for the environment. I found it particularly compelling about the information from the Chamber of Trade and what they say, and I find the view of their members about the benefits in maintaining livelihoods, boosting the economy, and making our town sustainable. I find that extremely difficult to set that aside in any way whatsoever. There is great support for the scheme from Sheringham and Broome, Sheringham Arts, the Museum, North Norfolk Railway. I think the scheme, when finished, will be a credit to the town. And I think also the biggest need is to get Sheringham Town Council and the town more broadly back on track. The time and money spent should have been directed towards other assets which are crying out for our time and attention. And the decision for demolition, I believe, enables that. So I'm most minded to vote for the demolition option if offered. Thank you.
Any other councillors who haven't spoken yet on this debate? Okay. Come back to John, please.
Thank you. Yeah, one other thing, if we were to go for demolition, there's got to have to be some sort of making good of that slab and that site there. If not, you wouldn't have the house fencing up there, so that won't widen the pavement anyway. So, you know, it's a bit of a joke, really, that, knock the thing down, quick, we'll have the buses back for 4 weeks, but you're going to have to either make good that slab, or you're going to have to fence it off to be a trip hazard, or a hazard of some description, so that'll have to be looked into. But, I get the economic factors, I get how that is affecting the town businesses and that, and yes, in an ideal world, we'd like to keep it. But as I said previously, Norfolk County Council have got us in a corner, the facts are the facts, unfortunately, that is, to my mind, checkmate, really. But that's my other concern is, yes, definitely get buses back there, but you're going to have to make that good, so you're going to have to chuck some money at that to make it good, and then when Norfolk County Council contractors come there, they've got to rip that up what you're made good, or you're going to have to liaise with them, and whoever your contractor is to demolish it, he's going to have to liaise with them to make that good, so we don't end up doing it twice, and wasting more money. So, that was the other point I had, alright? Thank you.
Thanks, John. We are aware of that, and we have had discussions about that too. But thank you for raising that. Yep, Tony, please.
As regards a couple of views of the councillors, I remember way back there was a discussion of whether to retain the town hall. It only comes to that long. And the council invited people to write in, they will write in and give their views on this. And the view given was that by a councillor who is in favour of keeping the town hall, what his was, there was someone. He said, well, 80% of the people want to keep the town hall. Then we found out only 38 people were here. So that is true. So when it comes to statistics, I agree with Mark Twain what he said about that. But I wouldn't go too much on it, because unless you see that they do present a large portion of the town, they represent a lot of people who've been asked, so don't do too much on that one. And that's it. I'll just let that for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we pass it around to Katie, please?
Hi, yeah, so I just want to clarify a point, because some people have just actually said that the demolition shelter from the online poll that I did was a majority, a large majority. I want to correct that, because there was 4 options. The first option was complete demolition. The last 3 options were all keep it in one way or another. So that shows the love of the amount of people that do actually want to keep it in one way or another. They just chose the option they preferred. What's the way I've read it, I believe. And the numbers we had 392 for demolish and 265 for retain it in one way or another. So that's 657 people that voted on that. And if you can remember back in December, we had those polls and opinions, and everyone turned up. The sheer amount of people we had up here, that was all for the love of the bus shelter, and they wanted it. People are fatigued now because nothing's happened, and that is what has shifted opinion. It's not the lack of love for the building, it is the lack of just frustration, exhausted, and they just want their town back. But that is because it's taken this time and nothing's happened.
Get rid of them.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pass it on.
I just wanted to pick up a couple of points that I want to say in a polite way. I think that the fact that the Travel Hub project comes from government money is a very good thing. I think it's very good that the government and the county council had or have a plan for expanding bus provision and for carefully designing ways in which that could work. I think it's good that it's funded by government money, and I think it's good that the Norfolk County Council took that forward and appear to want to take it forward in exactly the same way as they did before.
I think when a town council is relating to a larger democratic body like the county council, it's bound to feel a little bit unequal. But I think it's an okay thing for them to be quite firm on guidance that they have carefully looked into. I think it's fine for that. And to be frank, I don't think it's helpful to describe Norfolk County Council and North Norfolk Railway as bullies.
Yeah.
I think it's, one may not like it, but it doesn't make it bullying if it's something one doesn't agree with, I think. I think it's good that we've got government money to do this. It's good that the County Council are trying to do it in a conscientious way. And I think it's good that North Norfolk Railway have a particular perspective on it. I think we have to work with that, and I think it's appropriate that we should. And I don't think we should feel that we're being bullied, really.
Okay, and I would like to just say a couple of words. Lots of things have been said that I agree with. I think what really persuades me is that we live in a town where we have lots of young people and we don't really invest in them in the way that I think we should. And the money that we're planning to spend on modifying the shelter could be used in ways that would benefit young people. We live in a town where we need to attract more young families. I think that's really important for the future of this town, that we get young families here and we have resources that will meet their needs. And I think that's what us as a town council should be focusing on. I completely understand the emotional attachment to the bus shelter. I completely understand the historical value that some people place on it. But I think in terms of the bigger picture, we need to think strategically. We need to think about how we meet the needs of our whole community, and in particular those neglected groups. So for that reason, I will be voting to demolish the shelter. I think we are now in a position to ask for a motion to be put on the table. Peter, you've raised your hand.
Yep. Okay. I propose that Sheringham Town Council move forward immediately with demolition of the on-door-free brick bus shelter in order to allow the widening of the pavement in line with the National Transport Guidelines.
Can we add that the knowledge that we get a breakfast bill elsewhere with one shelter?
I think we could take that as a separate motion.
Can I second that?
Could I add an amendment to that and ask if that's acceptable, that we delegate to the clerk the actioning of that decision, because we can't keep coming back to council time and time again to get this moving.
Yeah, absolutely. To delegate that to the town clerk and the officers. Yeah, completely. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Okay, so we're going to the vote now. So this is a vote to demolish and get things moving as quickly as possible to get those buses back. Can I have a show of those in favour for that motion, please? That's 8. Michelle, have you got those? That's Councillor Lansdowne. Next, got more? Yep. Okay, those against that proposal? And those abstaining. So that motion is carried. And can I just say, look, and I do want to say that some of the comments around the table have indicated that the town is divided. I think that's probably true. But what we're not divided on is how much we care about this town. And I really ask that we come together now and make sure that Orndorff Green looks as good as it possibly can, but also that we start to think about our future and how we're going to move this town forward. Thank you for being here tonight. So sorry, Katie has another motion. Can I suggest that we have a task and finish group to look at possible options? Do you have some wording?
I haven't.
Okay, well, can we just sort of talk about something fairly openly?
I just like, because of the love of the town with the shelter, to put a motion in place whereby we build a replica shelter, like for like, completely safe. But we take one of the bricks out of the original shelter, preserve it, and input that in the replica with a plaque and the story.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to have a first go at this motion, if that's okay. Well, it's got to be on the agenda. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I've been reminded of the process here. So it's not on the agenda. You can't vote for it, but that doesn't mean that we can't take that forward in the future in some kind of form. So I would suggest that we think about that for the future. Sorry, Katie. Oh, hang on a sec. Hang on. Let's have a moment for the clerk to consult.
If a replica is part of my report, then it can. What I would say is there is further, rather than, I think we have to say look into it rather than do it, because where are we going to put it, what land do we have on it, and how much is it going to cost? Okay, yeah, so I think it would have to be to set up a task and finish group to, with council support, to look at where a replicator could possibly be sited. Yeah.
I suppose I'd like to put an amendment to that if possible, which is, because I'm very concerned that we might be committing to £100,000, which is a figure we've been given for that replica. But perhaps we have a motion that we have a task and finish group. So if we could possibly have an amendment to that we have a task and finish group that explores the possible ways in which we can honour the brick bus shelter, and that leaves it open for us to consider. Okay. So that's been accepted. John?
So, is there any way that we can use some of the brickwork or whatever? Because there has been mooted to make a timber sculpture on the actual site. Correct, Harry? And I'm wondering whether we could incorporate some of the brickwork into that sculpture as well, as a bit of artwork. When they finally put the digger into it, we'll have to get down there and grab some of it, what we think might be able to be used. I mean, Terry's approached me to give him a hand with the breakwater structure. I'm just wondering whether we could incorporate the two.
Okay, so that would be something for that task and finish group to be able to discuss. I've got some ideas as well along your lines, and I'm sure other councillors around the room would have to. Peter?
I don't know if anyone's heard, but there's a football game on 9 o'clock. I was hoping to walk out of here tonight. I was hoping to walk out of here for tonight, at least not having to think about anything about bus shelters or anything else associated with it. I agree, there's something we might be able to do, but we just spoke about how we've got to direct our resources in the most appropriate way, and there are masses of assets, and the sports pavilion is one, which is in a terrible state and needs huge investment. I'm quite happy to debate it and see what a task and finish group comes up with, but I think it's got to be focused, cost appropriate, and say not, like I say, the idea of voting for another bus shelter. Well, not tonight, please.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anybody else who'd like to participate in this debate? Okay, I would like to second that proposal. All those in favour of setting up a task and finish group to explore the possible options for honouring the brick-built bus shelter.
Do you want this to be recorded?
Yes, please.
Nine.
All those against?
1.
All those abstained?
1. Rob Jackson.
Okay, so it'd be a good idea to get things moving by appointing members to that task and finish group. I'd like to be involved. Okay, so we have Councillor Scott, Brisbane, Ratcliffe, Barrow, Hart, and Selig. And Dory. So it's quite a large task and finish group. I'm going to get lots of perspectives, which is a good thing. Can I have someone to propose that, please? Those are members.
I'll propose it.
80 seconds. All those in favour of those members of the task and finish group. Those against? Those abstaining? Fine, okay. I think we've reached the end of the line there, and that's a happy result, I think, to end on. So thank you to all of you who stayed the course in the audience. Thank you to the councillors for staying the course. Good night.
Hi. Can I give you my details? And then if I'm a YouTuber, I do council meetings. Will you know when the date of that bus shelter will be demolished? Because I'd like to come along and document it.
Right, you'll have to probably talk to Michelle about that, because I don't know she's the clerk.
Yeah, I know she is, but I just didn't know because you were the one kind of, and I loved what you had to say. But
the only thing is about like some things that we're told are confidential and we're legally obliged not to disclose, so I don't want to. The only person that can disclose those dates probably are Michelle.
Right.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's a demolition. Yeah. It's nothing secretive about that.
I know.
Thank you. No. Hiya, Michelle.
Yes.
I'm Claire. Will the dates be released to when that will be demolished?
Will it be released?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In what? 24 hours? Would you?
I'm not going to be able to be honest, I'm not going to be able to do it until I get the confirmation on the road closure.
But you will put on the town council the date of when the demolishing will start.
I don't know if we'll do that. I don't know if we'll do that. But we may not decide to.
Why?
Well, because last time that was going to happen, people occupied it. So why would we put ourselves in another position like that?
I didn't think of that. No, I'm thinking more of documenting the demolishing of it.
Oh, are you saying you would like to document it?
I would, yeah.
Okay, how much notice would you need? I mean, I think the likelihood is the press will be there anyway.
Well, what I will also do is that I'm also a droner, so what I'll do is I'll get the area checked out as well.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to document the demolition. I like to get my drone up and record as much as possible, even over probably even over a few weeks.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Drop me an email.
Okay.
And then I'll have a way of letting you know.
Yeah.
I'll have to speak to the mayor because I'm not sure how we're going to go about this yet. We're going to have to get in touch with the road closure people, Norfolk County Council,
then tie it in with when we can get the work done. So I'm going to need a couple of days to get my head straight on it. But I'm happy, if you email me, I'm happy to come back to you on that.
All right then. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Are you Claire?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Hi, I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul. I've been holding my gimbal all night.
Yeah. Well done. Thanks for managing that you couldn't hear some of the bits when I had my question. I wasn't expecting.
No, from a audit point of view, they should at all times be allowed to be heard, even in their little discussions.
I couldn't hear what.
I had a fan next to me, so I'm hoping my microphone, and I am still recording, guys, by the way, because I do it when I walk in and I do it when I walk out.
Thanks for showing interest in our campaign.
I'm just sorry I couldn't get here soon enough. I mean, I've been watching from a distance because I'm from North Horsham.
So
I am Norwich born and bred, but Sheringham, I know Sheringham for the last 50 years. You know what I mean?
I've been coming here for years. As a kid, got a family here. Now I live here. Like, I can't.
Well, I am in a bit of a belief where, all right, it's a bus stop. But the thing is, it's got history, and like the councillor in blue over there said, that's what makes a community. So, it's not about the cost. It is.
It is.
But it's also from the heart as well. So, I like what she said. I like what the councillor said on the corner.
They're the two that started that.
Oh, really?
And in fairness to them, it would have got demolished without their campaign. We didn't necessarily agree with demolish everything but the back wall, and that's where we sort of deviated from that campaign. Because we all slept in the shelter in December with them. They just they did their own thing, and they didn't tell us literally until the very last minute what had been agreed. So we didn't get involved in the negotiations that were happening. So that's why we set up Sheringham Traffic and Safety Partnership. We based the core members of that December campaign, other than those two and a couple of others. So you know how these things go.
We've got to keep a bit of history because a lot of places around the country are being bulldozed for new buildings, new houses, new warehouses, and you've also got to think with the LGR, with the devolution. Money has been given to certain parts of Norfolk to pay what to keep. And unfortunately, the councils obviously doesn't, from the north, from the county level, obviously don't want to say, well, we'll buy that to keep it. And unfortunately, that's why it's now being where it is. It's because of the devolution. I know because I'm seeing it in a lot of places of just losing little quality bits. The guy I was sitting next to.
Little by little, we suddenly realise in 10, 15 years' time, you've just got much nice high streets and stuff. Everything looks the same.
Are we going to have high streets?
Well, that's the other
Look at Amazon. Look at online.
Exactly.
Hello.
No, you're not the person I thought you were. Sorry.
Sorry. Who did you think it was?
I thought it was a lady that works at the Salvation Army Food Bank.
Oh no, that's not me. Sorry. Anyway, it's nice meeting you guys. All the best.
Would you like a tote bag with one of our?
I'd love a tote bag.
There we are.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we are.
Oh.
We now know what the date is potentially.
Thank you. I shall put that with the rest of my tote bags. Thank you very much. But it's nice meeting you.
Andrew,
Thank you. Anyway, bye bye. Oh, what?
On Facebook, So,
Cool. Thank you. And there we are. Okay, let's just get a few faces from this evening. I got a tote bag. Look at that. Look. I love that. That's just more tote bags for me to put yarn in. Okay, we've got Rob Jackson who Tony War Boys. Right, that he had a good. I liked what he had to say. I think that was him. Philip was the one that was sitting in front of me. I think. Oh no, it was Peter. Sue Brisbane. Katie Hart. Oh, she was the lady in blue that I liked. All we need, which I'll probably have to find online, is the email address for... Oh, goes outwards. Yeah, get the email address so I can document the demolition. I think that would be a nice horrible keepsake, but it will certainly mark the occasion, won't it? But anyway, that was the extraordinary meeting at Sheringham Town Council, and what has been agreed is the demolish of the bus shelter. So we'll leave it there. Cheerio for now.